did the camera start already? Oh, my bad. Just flexing that off white, you know. Alright, so on a previous video I said I had another album planned to review, but actually on that Night Lavelle review, I got a comment from MYK11 who asked me to review DillanPonders' The Boy Who Died. I had no idea who DillanPonders was, so I went to his Spotify and played his #1 song, Planet Ponders, which is sitting at 800,000 plays, and his next closest song is only at 375,000. After listening to the song, I decided I enjoyed it and was ready to go into the album with some good first impressions of Mr. Ponders. Alright, before we get started with the background on DillanPonders, I'm going to hit you with a new segment called the Banger of the Episode. Right here we got... Dap You Up by Speaker Knockers. Very underrated, pour one out for Speaker Knockers. Alright, getting into DillanPonders, we can read from his Spotify bio that I believe Mr. Ponders might have written himself. Let's see here. Named one of XXL's, if you don't know, XXL is a hip-hop magazine, most famous for their freshman list every year. They wrote an article called 10 Canadians to Know, and apparently Mr. Ponders found himself on that list. Mr. Ponders is a trapped-out poet with a powerful delivery. Ponders' music is versatile, with songs perfect for a party or somber solo listening. And he also does the nice a gesture of linking his Wikipedia page to his Spotify bio, so we know he is from Toronto, Ontario. And last time I gave you a map of Canada, and here's another map of Canada. Alright, so with a little bio on Mr. Ponders, let's go ahead and get into his album. So, The Boy Who Died is DillanPonders' most recent album, released in 2018, and the spiritual successor to his most popular project, I believe, The Boy Who Lived, released in 2014. So, let's see if Mr. Ponders is able to live up to the hype of his last project. Alright, so the opening track, Glow, is clearly DillanPonders' attempt at a Lil Pump, Smoke Perp type song. He almost even bites the flow off Boss. I'm not sure if he's doing that intentionally, but I don't know. I don't think it works. It just seems like a generic ripoff. If I want to listen to a song like this, I'm going to listen to people like Pump, Smoke Perp, other SoundCloud artists that are making this song 20 times better. This beat sounds like knockoff Ronnie J, like discount dollar store Ronnie J beat he just took off YouTube looking up Ronnie J type beat. So this first song is an indicator that Dillan might be using a lot of different styles that he has taken or bitten from other artists throughout this project. Alright, so moving on to the next song, Protocol, we have Dillan doing a more original sound, starting off on one flow and then moving on to another one later in the song. I actually like the dark, spooky, spacey trap beat he raps over here. I like his two flows that he uses. Lyrics are a bit odd. We'll get into that in some later songs, but for now, this is one of the better songs to start off of that album, and one of the ones I actually enjoyed throughout the project. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier, one of the feedbacks I got from people I showed my first album review video to said that I should probably do a grade like I do for the whole album at the end for each song. So for each song segment during this review, you'll be seeing a grade in the bottom left corner, and that is the score of the song that I'm currently reviewing at the moment. Moving on to DillanPonders' third song, we have Kobe, a very braggadocious song, which is pretty interesting because a lot of these lines would make a lot more sense and hit a lot more hard if he was this well-known crazy artist, but being that he's still kind of underground and lesser known, lines like, went and blew up, now they act like they know me, you do not know me. Did you really blow up DillanPonders? I don't know. So, I don't know about lines like that. Other goofy Canadian slang lyric lines like, stop trying to shake my hand, my guy, you're not my brody. Yeah, okay, there's lots of Canadian phrases and stuff throughout his songs. This song, I don't know. And a different artist like Jay-Z, Kanye, actual successful people, maybe this song would be better, but not for Mr. Ponders. But shout out DillanPonders for naming the song Kobe. Ayy! Moving on to the next song, we have Till We Die. Probably one of my favorite songs on the album. I really like Dylan's use of the auto-tune and sinister delivery on the hook of the song. I also kind of like his flow, and his bars are a little corny in the verses, but overall, it's one of the better songs in the album. And I suggest if you want to listen to some songs from the album, similar to his most popular song, Planet Ponders, I recommend this one as one of the ones to go to. Alright, moving on, we have the song Ice, which I guess Dylan would consider to be one of his party songs. I actually really enjoy this track. He keeps using the auto-tune, not as crazy distorted as that last fucking song, whatever the hell that was, but it's actually a pretty good song, good flow, good chill, like spooky mellow vibe. I like this song. It's probably going to be one of my favorite songs of the album. Moving on, we have the song COBAIN, which is also one of the better songs in the album. It has probably my favorite hook and some pretty catchy bars. And I'm going to mention here, this is the first time that I've really noticed that DillanPonders really likes to brag about his wife. I think that's pretty cool that he's married and stuff, but I don't know if I really want to hear about this dude saying like, oh yeah, I got a happy marriage and shit. Man, we ain't got no problem. I love my wife on a rap song. I don't know, it just doesn't really fit the theme. Leave in the comments if you disagree and you think that there should be more wholesome, good things in rap songs. Alright, we moved locations to keep with the new and improved lighting, but moving on, we have the song Strings. It's kind of a sappy love song. I think it's pretty much about his wife. I think that's what he's trying to imply with his metaphors throughout the song. Like I said before, I don't know about these weird sappy topics. Not my favorite song. Moving on. Moving on to the next song, Pending. DillanPonders kind of mumbles his way for the opening and the hook. I don't know what he's doing here. It sounds like he's drunk or some shit. And then he starts doing a kind of whiny, screechy Kendrick type flow. It doesn't really work with him. This isn't my favorite song on the album. Let's move on to the next one. Moving on, we have Focus, which has some of the corniest bars I've heard yet on the album. Ponders talking about how he's an extraterrestrial going through an existential crisis, bragging about his LSD and shroom use, like, okay, buddy, sure thing. Alright, not the greatest song. Moving on to the next one. Okay, moving on, we have On Your Mind, which is probably DillanPonders' best attempt at a singy auto-tune type of Gunna, Lil Baby type croony song. Kind of switching between his auto-tune for the hook and then going back to a more normal voice for the rap verses throughout. I actually really like this song. It's his best attempt at making a mainstream pop type song, and I think he did a good job of it. Moving on. Moving on, we have 3 AM, which features DillanPonders' only feature on the album, coming from Miesha Brugger-Osman. For all I know, this could honestly just be his wife. It's some like opera singer lady who sampled towards the end. This song, Dylan kind of whispers through it. Not very much energy. Kind of a Big Sean type track. Not really feeling it. Moving on to the next one. Moving on, we have Laying Low, which is kind of in a similar style to the previous song, but I think DillanPonders did a lot better job fleshing it out in this song. The hook's a lot stickier. He's got some good melodies, some kind of Kid Cudi like The beat's a lot catchier. I like the drum pattern, icy hi-hats, the type of good stuff that really fits well into a song like this. Moving on to the next and final track. Alright, and to end the album we have Wishing Him Well, which is kind of just a generic auto-tune pop type song. Not as good as the previous On Your Mind. It's a fine way to close the album, but one of the less standout tracks and kind of a mediocre track overall. Alright, I'll see you guys in my final thoughts. Okay, so my overall thoughts on the album was that it was pretty mediocre. DillanPonders explores a lot of different sounds, none of which he can do very well. I think in the future, if Dylan was able to focus up on the things he does well, he could probably release a pretty good album. There's definitely talent there. You can see that he knows how to rap, unlike some popular rappers like fucking Soulja Boy. So, moving on, DillanPonders, if he's able to, kind of hone in his sound, really stick thematically to more mature things, less goofy, corny bars like in some of the songs on this album, we could honestly see a pretty good DillanPonders project. Alright, going into my top 3 songs, which this time I've written out instead of just thinking about it on the spot last time in the Night Lavelle video. We have number 1, Till We Die, number 2, COBAIN, and number 3, On Your Mind. And then finally, my overall grade for the album is going to be a D+. Some good, interesting ideas, but not enough to make it a full-length project that is going to be having me go back to time and time again. Hopefully in the future, DillanPonders can give us more Planet Ponders sounding music, which is what I'm going to put in my recommendations. See you guys in the next album review. It might be a special one with a special guest. We'll see.
For my life, can't say that, girl. Don't tell me you could say that shit. All she want is payback for the way I always play that shit.